Welcome back to Good Knit Kisses. I'm your host Kristen, and today we are going to work on a baby cocoon. Now this cocoon is going to be more for a photo prop, just keeping in mind any baby cocoons that you make, if you have a loose stitch in between, it can get caught on fingers and toes, and so you want to use this with adult supervision. Let's get started today. We're going to need a few tools here. Right now I've got a Nifty Knitter loom that's a 41 peg loom. You can use any other brand. You can use a 40 peg or a 41 peg from the different vendors. And we've also got here a couple of different tools. Tape measure, we're going to need scissors, a crochet hook that's nice and large. This one is an L. You can use a K, just anything, a large gauge one. And then I've got a knitting loom pick. And then right here is a straw, or this is a pin styler here, and I've got a little pipe cleaner here. You can use a straw or an empty pin. This is going to be our yarn guide here. And this is just for setting my stuff on. Okay, so we're going to get started here. Now I'm showing a couple of different options over here. These are homespun thick and quick in just kind of a basic color. If you want it generic, if you're not sure what, if this is just going to be a general photo prop, then you can use a color such as this in order to make it more generic. Use a bright fun purple color here. Today we're going to use a blue, and you can do it in any color, but this is a thick and quick version of homespun, a super bulky number 6. So we are going to want a super bulky number 6 type of yarn here. All right, to get started, we're going to take our pin styler, and I've already stuffed in this folded over pipe cleaner here, and we're going to want to pull our yarn through here. This is going to be the top of the styler, and this is going to be the bottom. If it's pointed a pin, then you want to have your yarn come out this side. So we're going to loop it through here and then pull. Okay, so it comes out nicely. Unfold that. And now we can get started. I'm going to make a slip knot. Take the back over the front, take the back over the front again. Now I have a new method that I've been using here. We're going to use the starter peg if you have one. If not, don't worry about it. And we're going to take it from the top side on the inside, and we're going to go underneath and loop it around this way. Now you can start from your starter peg if you wish, and this is just a really great way of later on being able to work this tail into your project. Now if you've noticed, before we get started, if you'd like to go ahead and mark your loom, I want you to mark your loom every 6 pegs. And I've started on this side. You can start this way, whatever works for you. I've grabbed pegs from different looms in order to mark these sections. This will be for when we do our decreased bind off, and it's a nice cleaner finish instead of a bulkier bottom. You're going to mark every 6 pegs, and you're going to mark the number 1 and in each section. So this is number 1, mark this, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then you're going to mark number 1 again. You're going to go all the way around the loom. I've just alternated colors. It doesn't really matter. And then when we get to this last section, all the way back around here, we are only going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this section. And we're not going to use this last 6 that I'm going to show you. You won't need it. And we'll get started. Go ahead and thread your yarn guide all the way back down here, and we're going to loop around our first peg right here like this, and then we're going to go around each peg. We're going to cast on in an E-wrap, go all the way around the loom. And I find that when I'm working by myself, not off camera, when I'm off camera, I find it easier just to knit it this way. I'm usually in my lap. You can go as fast or slow as it works for you. And you'll find that this yarn guide eases your hands if you've got rheumatoid arthritis or carpal tunnel, or just to make it go faster. Pull out your yarn as you need it. We've gone all the way around the loom. Now we're going to wrap this last peg and knit over, take the bottom loop over the top, and that's going to lock that in place. If you need to set your loom down, you can do so at any time and they won't come off. Go ahead and finish up by knitting over all the bottom rows over the top. If you find that this is too tight, you can just simply pull that off, and then this bottom one will knit over quicker and easier, and then you can just pull that taut. Now go ahead and you can let this drop and pull that out. That's your slip knot, and lift all your bottom loops over the top. Again, this is the E-wrap. It's also called the twisted knit stitch or knitting through the back loop if you're talking about needle knitting. It makes a more twisted looking stitch instead of being as uniform. It's a stretchy stitch, and therefore it's really good for these baby props, these cocoons, because as we go, whenever you finish this project, you'll notice that it's stretchy, and if you put the baby in it, you can stretch it around many different sizes, but some people stretch it around to look like a womb, and then when they take their photos, they're so cute. So I'll try and put up some pictures of different cocoons, wrapping the babies around them in a different way. Okay, so if you need to pause your video, do so. And we'll finish this row up here. Okay, so we've completed this row. We're done on casting it on. Now we're gonna leave this without adding a trim. There's no border or trim edge because we want the top part to be really stretchy. So it's going to be basically like a giant hat, but I'm gonna help you have a more finished look. Now that we're done with this part, we're gonna go on to the next, but I want you to go ahead and start wrapping this in. Now you can choose to wrap this one over and around. Because it's coming from this peg, I'm actually going to use it on the next peg. So I'm going to wrap the first peg here with this working strand, and then now I'm going to grab that original cast on strand and I'm going to work it in to this first row. So we're going to go all the way around and work this in on this first row. If you need to, go ahead and push these down as you go, or you can push them down before you continue on. And my yarn guide has fallen down, so that's why I'm just using what's here before the yarn guide appears. But if you can take it and you want to slide it down, you can do that. And then start wrapping. And you can even lay this on the table and use your yarn guide. Go ahead and push these down. Okay, now we've come to the end here. We're just going to knit the bottom loop over the top loop. So now this one's locked in and you're going to continue knitting over. You're just going to continue knitting this stitch until you reach your desired length. This is where your tape measure comes into play. You're going to take your tape measure and hold it on the inside of your loom. And I go ahead and pre-measure out how much I want. Let's say I want my cocoon to be 18 inches or even 20 inches. I'll go ahead and pull the tape measure out to that spot. And then you're going to hold that in your loom and stick it about right here. And then when you get to the knitted length where the end of this cast on edge is down here, you knit all the way to here, then we're going to start our bind off. So we'll show you this decrease bind off right now. Pause your video and come back when you're ready. Okay, we're back, and you should have about 18 to 20 inches knitted, and you start this part right here. You can use this technique on the top of a hat as well, and also for a granny round. This is where your little numbers are going to come into play. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I happen to be going from right to left, but you can number it the other way. Okay, so just whatever numbers you did, I'm going to take the 2 peg over to the 1 on all of my sections. I'm going to take it and unwrap it. Okay, so it makes it a lot easier to move. It's an E-wrap, and so it allows you a little bit of extra movement in your yarn here. So now we've got a gap here, and we're going to go to the next section, and the 2 peg over to the 1. All the 1 pegs are numbered or colored. And I dropped my stitch here, so just pick it right back up. And you do have to be careful with this type of yarn. If you get it too tight, it can break on you. It's a chenille type where there is a 1 thread in between here, so you just want to be careful. Go to each section and move the 2 peg over to the 1. And pause your video and meet me back up. Okay, we're on our last section. And again, I do have 5 in that section. So just leave these all on here like this. If you've got all your stitches pushed down, now we're going to go around all the pegs and wrap for 1 row, except for these empty pegs. So just take your working yarn and let it fall behind the peg like this, and then wrap the 1 next to it. See, we're skipping this peg here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip. 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and skip. And now we're going to lift 3. I can lift the bottom 2 over the 1 where I have 3, and then when I have 2, then we just lift the bottom over the top, just like your regular row. Go ahead and knit all these over and pause your video and come back and meet me. If you find that it's tight, then just knit the first loop over and then knit the second loop over. So let's say this one's going to act tight on us, then just pick 1 up, lift that over, and pick the next one up. And you can use your finger to kind of use it as a fulcrum to get it over that. You can use any loom. It does not have to be this brand. In fact, you can use a Martha Stewart loom. Some people have asked me about that. You just want to have enough pegs for it to have a good circumference to go around a baby and be loose enough. You could use a 36 peg loom for a preemie, or even a smaller baby than that. You could use a smaller loom, a 31 peg loom, but I would stick with the 36 or the 40 or 41. And these are a large gauge or extra large gauge looms. So if your gauge is smaller, like a 1/2 inch, you're going to need a bigger peg count. All right, we are done. On to the next phase of this. We're going to take all the 4 pegs over to the 3. So all your even pegs are going over to the odd pegs. So we've already done this section for this row, and now we're going to do this section here. So go ahead and push down all your stitches. Okay, all of our stitches are pushed down, and we're going to move the 4 peg over to the 3. Get that over there. Go down here, make the 4 go to the 3. Remember that we're rotating it, taking it off the loop, rotating it around and untwisting it. That's okay. If you have a peg that comes out like this and you find it frustrating, you can stick a piece of paper towel in there. Sometimes I actually stick a piece of cotton yarn in there, and it actually creates a friction and it won't come out, rather than gluing it. Especially so that you can change your peg colors to help you out. Just a little tip. Pull it off, bring it over. Now in this section, remember, you only have 5, so you just have this one left here. And if you have a 40 peg loom, then you won't have any more left in here. Just this last section will have only 4. If you're using a 36 peg loom, all your sections just need to have 6 in it, so everything will come out evenly. Go ahead and you want to wrap all of your pegs that have loops on them, just as we did before. So you're going to have a wrap and then a skip, wrap, skip, 1, 2, 3, skip, 1, skip, 2, 1, 2, 3, skip, skip, 1, 2, 3, skip, skip, wrap, 1, 2, 3, skip, wrap, 1, 2, 3, skip, wrap, 2, 3, skip, wrap, and skip, wrap. And now we're back to the square one. Knit over and complete this row. And of course, the further you get, the quicker this row becomes, because we are decreasing the amount of pegs that is in use. If you need to pause your video, do that. Okay, so now we had push all these down again. Depending upon the yarn that you chose, it really only adds about an inch of work to your work here. If you use a thinner yarn, it's not going to add much length, so don't worry about the length as much. You just want to be at the length that you want, and then you start your decrease. So we are going to move, sorry, I'm about to continue wrapping. I'm going to move the 6 over to the 5. Remember, all the evens are going to the odds, so number 6 over to the 5. And now we have really cut in half the original peg count. When we do this, we have pretty much cut in half how many stitches are on the loom. And now you can just go across here and make sure that you've got a stitch on every other peg after you finish. And then this is that last section coming up. And the last section, you just will not use that last one. And again, This one right here is not going anywhere. You can't move this because it's on the correct one. If I had had a 6, I would have moved it over, but this is the one for the first section. If you had 5 on there, I'm sorry, if you had the original 4, then you wouldn't have to worry about it, and it would look like this on a 40 peg Boye, and I think Loops and Threads. One of them has just 40 pegs. Go ahead and wrap all the pegs that have a loop on them. So we got to wrap 1, skip, wrap, skip, wrap, skip, wrap, skip, wrap. You get the idea. Okay, keep going around. Be careful not to wrap a peg that doesn't have a stitch on it. You want it to come behind the peg. If you wrap a peg, it might be confusing later, and you might be increasing there instead of decreasing. This is all we're doing is, oops, I've got a peg that just came out. Let's figure out what this is. Oh, and it's one that was skipped, so that's okay. And if you need to, you can take them out. All right, we're back here. Same thing. Go ahead and knit off. And with this peg missing, you can see where these parts are here. This is called a drop stitch. You're skipping a stitch with the yarn in the back. Okay, we have now done all of our rows, our 3 rows for decrease, and we're going to bind off or cast off. It's just going to be a drawstring. What I like to do is, I'm cheap, I want to save my yarn, and you're not going to need that long of a strand. In fact, most of it will get cut off. So I'm going to take my extra working yarn and go all the way to the back side, and maybe a little, here's the starter peg, and I'm right across from it, maybe just go a little further over. And then we're going to take our scissors and cut this and pull this off. Now on this yarn, I'm going to show you right now, you see how it frays? I go ahead and tie a knot, and this just helps me in a little bit to keep it from fraying, and I'll show you a little bit more in a moment. Go back to the front, and we're going to take our working yarn, put it underneath the first loop. And you can use a tapestry needle, but I'm just going to use this pick, and I'm going to pick this up, this working yarn, and pull it out right here. Now with the knot, it may get hung up just a little bit, but trust me, it's better because you don't keep having that fray happen. So go ahead and pick up this working yarn and pull it through, and basically you're threading all of these stitches. And after you thread a couple, you can pop them off. And see, now they're safe to pull off the loom. This one's actually coming off, so I want to be careful. You can pull these off as you go. And as you pull them off, you'll notice that it'll actually start letting you drawstring it. As we go along, you're going to notice that the strand gets a little shorter, and then as you notice it does, just go ahead and pop these other ones off. And now I've got quite a bit going on here, and so I can actually pull that through and get it tighter, which leaves me a longer strand. If that knot gets in your way and you don't like it anymore, say that you've wrapped, don't be afraid to cut that off and just let it be stringy for you. Earlier I had broken it by accident, so I'm just going to cut it out because we're towards the end, and just pull that on out. And I'll show you how frayed it can get. So it's up to you. If you come up with your own tricks that are easier, by all means use them. There are no rules when it comes to this kind of thing. You're not changing a stitch, you're just doing what makes it easier on you. And these baby cocoons can really be any stitch. They could be a combination of stitches. And just remember that different stitches have different tightnesses. And stretchy or not stretchy. This E-wrap tends to be stretchy. But you can close up any gaps by using a flat knit or a U-knit. A U-knit stitch. Okay, so now I pulled this last one off the loom. I'm going to move the loom out of the way. All right, so I've got all of these off the loom, and I'm going to pull it together, pull it like this, really nice and snug. Again, this type of yarn can break, so we don't want to pull it too tight. So we have got this all pulled together, and I want to show you. So if you have your bag going on, this is what the end of the bag is going to look like. Okay, so it's not as bunchy. This bag here didn't have well, it didn't have that. I had bound off a little bit, but it just didn't work as well. I don't like how it turned out, and this was one of my first bags that I ever did, and so I came up with a decreased bind off, and I think it has a much cleaner look. If you notice how different that is, so it's nice and smooth, and it's less holey. So the way that we finish this is we're going to tie a knot, and we're going to fish it through to the back side. So take your crochet hook and put it in, and then wrap this yarn here and pull it through to the back side. And then now we're going to make a knot, and I just make sure that my knot is all the way down at the bottom. I kind of feel it with my fingers and just push it with my fingernail. And so there it is. And now we're going to take our hook, and it's hard to tell in this fuzzier yarn, but if you take your hook in between these last loops that you pulled off, it'll actually fit nicely between them. And you want to wrap this around and pull it through. And I like to go all the way around at least one time. Just go like every other loop or every couple of loops, and you can stick your crochet hook through a few at a time. Actually, it speeds it up for you. And once you do that, you can tie another knot if you like, or you can just go ahead and simply cut it off. Now, one of the things that I like to do is tie another knot, and not tying it to the project, but just tying off this this strand, because this strand can, like I said, fray. And so I'm going to cut it. I make a knot here, and then I'm going to cut it just right above that knot. okay? And then that way, if this ever came loose, then it wouldn't fray on me. So we now have that decreased bind off on the end of your cocoon. I hope that this tutorial has helped you today. Feel free to check out my website and subscribe to Good Knit Kisses. Have a great day and happy looming. Bye-bye.